Y'all won't believe who I have sitting here next to me today. This University of Michigan graduate was raised in the city of Detroit. She comes from a long lineage of philanthropists who've made it their priority to give back to the community. Through her nonprofit organization, the Menternship, she serves as a conduit for young, under-resourced women seeking insight from high-ranking executives at companies like OWN, Magic Johnson Enterprises, Viacom, BET, The Lip Bar, Quicken Loans, Nike, Bedrock, the LA Sparks, and the Detroit Tigers. Through her talent agency, Exalt Management, she helps high-performing professionals spanning across athletes, entrepreneurs, and creatives tap into their full potential by enhancing their mindset. She has negotiated deals for her clients with global brands such as Hulu, Gymshark, YouTube, Meta, Red Bull, Spotify, and many more. Did I mention that she's the founder and CEO of TMPL, a natural and non-toxic product line that she uses to remind folks to honor their bodies as a temple? She began making natural products at the age of 13, and her hard work eventually paid off during her pre-launch for Black Balm, a 5-ingredient lip balm which sold out in only 42 hours. Be on the lookout for the relaunch coming soon. You know you're doing something right when you have the likes of Holly Berry and Mel Robbins congratulating you on your achievements and encouraging you to keep going. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you all to this illustrious businesswoman and performance and mindset coach who believes that inner success correlates to outer success. Her friends call her Lex. Her dad calls her Pooh. Alexis Wilson, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, Alexis?
That was an incredible intro.
Straight
That
up.
was the best intro I've ever gotten.
Hey,
Thank
y'all
you.
heard that first. TinBridge, that was the best. And she done talked to a whole bunch of people that's way better at this than me. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm pretty wonderful.
Okay. So we talked about something off camera. I saw you posted something on your story where you're on this anti-inflammatory diet, like
Yeah.
you was kind of meal prepping,
Yep.
and you had maybe some
Zucchini,
zucchini, mushrooms.
mushrooms.
You know what I'm saying? You had the was some type of meat, some type of protein, right?
Yeah, I had ground turkey. I had chicken breast.
Chicken breast, yeah.
Yep.
And then you had the sweet. You were struggling to get those sweet potatoes cut.
I felt embarrassed after posting that.
Yeah.
Because it felt like I was like, oh, you guys are laughing at me, not
Yeah.
with me on this. And yeah, the embarrassment came quickly after I had about 30 DMs saying,
but it's-
are you serious right now? And I'm like, yes.
I'm glad you showed it though. You always show not only the great parts, but you show the ugly parts too. So I appreciated that. That was good humor. My wife and I, we're on a diet called the READ diet. It's reduced excitatory inflammatory diet. Is that what it is? By a lady named Catherine Reed. So we've been on this since December.
Oh,
And we deviated for my birthday last weekend, but that's a whole
happy
nother-
belated.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. So we're on the same diet. So.
how has it made you feel over the past few months?
The crazy thing is that when we deviated from the diet for my birthday, we went to a restaurant. I ain't gonna say what restaurant because y'all might want to sponsor me, so I ain't gonna give y'all no shout out yet. But we went to that restaurant. We sat there and ate, and I told my wife this is the first time that I felt like clear and healthy while being on a date in a long time. Because before we started the diet, we was going out every week. So we weren't bad eaters, but on the weekend we would eat what we want to eat, But the way my body is, she's different. I'm more sensitive. So if something doesn't agree with my body, it'll let me know right away. So there'd be times where we'd be on a date and I'm either feeling dizzy or nauseous or stomach pains or headache, whatever the case may be. And I just kind of push through it, And then I told her when we were eating recently after being on the diet for 3 months, when we were at the restaurant cheating on our diet, I said, this is the best that I've ever felt. So now I understand the benefits of it for sure in terms of just having more energy, in terms of how I get up out of bed. Even in the gym, like certain nagging injuries that I had, I don't have them like that anymore. So I think it's been really good so far for us over the last 3.5 months. What about you?
Oh, it's a stark difference to me when I'm eating super clean versus when I'm having, 2 or 3 too many cheat days. I think it changes my entire mood.
Wow.
I mean, the entire energy, your entire frequency shifts when you have clean food that is literally fueling you versus food that now my body has to overwork to process. And now I could be using that energy towards my work or towards myself or showing up for my loved ones. But now my whole digestive system in my body is trying to process junk.
Yeah.
So I think that it gives me and saves me so much energy.
Wow. 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 That's a really good point. And also just from a mental health standpoint too, right? Like, you have so many people who deal with depression, anxiety, all of that. And I don't think we understand how connected it is to the stuff we put in our body. So
It's so connected. I actually, I have a mindset membership called the Self Mastery Circle.
oh yeah.
And one of the first posts I put in there was about how I have historically dealt with depression and it would take me out, like not functional,
Wow.
not able
Wow.
to get out the bed, just not a good space at all. And it runs in my family as well. So it was a very hard thing for me. And then over time, as I started working on my personal development and working on my habits and my mindset, and I have this lifestyle change, I didn't know it, but I started being able to cope with the depression a lot better.
Wow.
I mean, like significantly better to the point where it was like, even if I would be going through things, I wasn't going to go into depression. I was going to be sad and I was going to feel my feelings and my emotions and be down temporarily, but I knew it was temporary. There wasn't that like, almost like depression to me feels like a heavy blanket that is suffocating me and not allowing me to move or to function. And in this past season has been a tougher one for me, but I still wasn't going down. And then I lost a loved one. So I think that grief completely dysregulated me.
Wow.
And it did get me back into that space that I hadn't felt really since like 2019. And it felt so familiar and I was so scared and I was crying and praying. But I still had enough bandwidth to know I'm not going to stay here. And so I started doing the things that are my normal. So I was going to the gym feeling like my heart was breaking, but I went anyway. I was still drinking my green juices. I was still doing my meditations. I was still doing the things that were my new normal, even though it literally felt like it physically hurt to do those things. And within a week I was out of it. And this was something where, again, historically, it's like months.
It would have lasted a lot longer.
Long time.
Yeah.
It was like I used to be more depressed than I was not. So it was just very significant to me. And I was just trying to sit and reflect on it. And I realized like it's the habits, it's the high frequency habits. Like your energetic field that you have is literally depressed when you are in a depressed state. You're not even able to have your regular cognitive functioning because your body is trying to keep you safe and trying to save energy. So like you can't go and do work as usual or interactions as usual. Your nervous system is not in a place to be doing that.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that depression is a frequency. I think that the food plays a major part. I mean, and it's not a hidden secret either. There's so many ingredients like sugar or like red dye that literally cause brain fog and all types of other things.
MSG.
MSG is a really really bad one. But there's so much crap.
So anything that says like natural flavors on the back is like
no.
red flag, right?
No, that's called mystery ingredient.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but all of it all impacts the body. It impacts your brain. And if your brain, is off, the body is going to be off because your brain is what's signaling, certain hormones to release and your body to process and respond in a certain way. So that food is super, super important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, we can spend a whole episode talking about food. We're going to get into your life real quick. So you grew up and was raised in Detroit, right?
Yeah.
Which side, the east side or the west side?
West side.
Oh, see what you got against east side people. Said you don't have to state the obvious, right? So you grew up on the west side. Describe your household to me. Who were all there? Your parents, siblings? Describe all of them to me.
Yeah, I mean, I was the only child until I was 13 years old.
Okay.
So it was just me, my mom, and my dad. My brother came when I was 13. At that point, we had moved into a new house. I also consider my second home was my grandma Reeves, which was my dad's mother. I was with her every day after school. So she was picking me up, I think up until maybe I was in like the seventh grade. I was over there literally every single day after school. So that also felt like my second home. And then my parents would come pick me up after they left work from the nonprofit. And then we would go home and it would just be us three there.
Wow. Okay. So I want to ask you what each of these folks mean to you. What influence did they have on you, especially with your parents? What characteristics did you pick up from your mom versus your dad? Let's talk about your grandma first. You said Grandma Reed.
Grandma Ree. Her name was Marie. So her
Okay.
nickname, Grandma Ree, was what I called her.
Okay. Got you. Got you. There was, well, yeah. Tell me how she influenced you.
My grandma, how would I say she influenced me? My grandma, she just thought that I was the most amazing, beautiful, smart, capable little girl ever. And she wanted me to be she wanted me to be like in spotlight so bad. She wanted me to be like a model or an actress. She wanted me to be in entertainment. Like cause she was just like, I just see you there. Like you need to be on stage. She just wanted me to be in spotlight in some capacity, which is not aligned with my personality naturally at all. But I do think that it's interesting that I did end up working in the entertainment industry. And I think that she just instilled a lot of confidence in me, because it was just constantly, you're so smart, Lexi, and, you're so beautiful and you got a good heart and, things like that. And we just spent a lot of time together doing a little bit of everything and a little bit of nothing. Like my grandmother was who took me to my knitting lessons at the Fisher Building.
Yeah, yeah.
My grandmother was who I would walk around the neighborhood with or randomly take me to CVS to get whatever I wanted, essentially candy bars, chips, like.
Don't tell your parents. Yeah.
And no, my parents knew and would still be like, can you please stop? Like she should not be eating bacon, popcorn, and chocolate in one
That's
sitting.
what you're supposed to do at grandparents' house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what we let our parents or whatever, whenever we take our kids over there. It's not the same rules that exist over here because we want our kids to want to go over there so that we can have our our breaks. So we we let grandparents be grandparents for sure.
Yeah, and she was very much going to do what she wanted to do.
Yeah,
anyway.
regardless. Yeah.
So she just exposed me to like a lot of different things. If I showed interest in something, she was going to lean into it. Once I started showing interest in like diamonds, and this is something that I wish actually didn't happen because I was not responsible enough to own diamonds as a kid. But she would buy me like diamond bracelets and diamond rings, or if I showed interest in a certain food, or like I said, like I loved to knit and crochet. So she put me in a knitting class. Yeah. So she was just supportive, like the most supportive ever. And even when I was in like going to high school, I think. And she wasn't picking me up every day at that point. But whenever I would do my chores at the end of the night and clean up the kitchen, I was on the phone with her. Like that was like my
Ace Boom Coon.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
So you mentioned that she used to buy you jewelry, right? And I know you bought her jewelry too. And hopefully you don't mind me mentioning this, but it was public. She battled with Alzheimer's and dementia, and you bought her matching Swarovski. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Bracelets. They were like crystal elephant bracelets because she was a lover of fine jewelry and she collected elephants. And she looked at you, she cried, she thanked you and told you that she would never forget those gifts. So that was beautiful. And you did it because you wanted to cater to the grandma that you remembered and that you knew was still inside of her. That was beautiful.
Ooh, you got me about to cry.
Oh, shoot. Too early. We should have waited to the halfway mark to mention that, but that was such a beautiful story.
Thank you. I've been thinking about her so heavily lately. Like she's been in my dreams and she's been on my spirit like very, very heavily lately. So I think that's why I'm like super emotional about it. But
okay. Dang, man. Well, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Grandma Ree. Okay. Next one. I want to talk about your dad right now. You said that you didn't have the type of personality that was meant to be like in the spotlight, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I beg to differ. There was a video of you. I think you couldn't have been no more than 5 or something like that. I can't remember. Your dad and you were in the living room playing a trick on your mom, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, hey, I'm going to slam my hand as hard as I can on this floor. I want you to just start screaming. And when mama comes in here, right, because she's going to be like, what's wrong? I want you to keep screaming. Don't break character. Y'all got this in one take. So 1, 2, 3, bam. He hit the table. Your mother comes in there. She's like, what happened? And then you're still crying at this point.
Yeah.
You and your dad eventually turn around on cue and say, gotcha. And then
Yeah.
your mother looked like, oh my God. Like that wasn't the first time y'all had played the joke on her pretty much. Like here these guys at it again, trying to play a trick on me. But you killed it in front of the camera. I mean, I know you do your thing behind the camera with your short film that we're going to talk about later, but that was pretty good. That was one take. So I beg to differ. I think you got the skills to do it in front of the camera too.
Thank you for that. And I think that I have the skill set. I just don't think it's
the desire.
Yeah.
Got you. Because of
Yeah.
the purpose.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah,
But
but
you're
I'm
still good though.
Thank you. Thank you. And I actually recently said like I want to stop identifying with that because I have a full knowing that my whole behind the scenes days, like I'm not going to be able to like stay there. God has shown me like I need to be able to use you. I need to come on.
Behind the scenes in terms of like filmmaking.
Behind the scenes with anything.
Oh,
like,
anything. Like,
me,
you have to like, yeah, you're going to have to be in the forefront.
Yeah, like you have to use your voice. It's a very clear God wants to be able to use my voice in my vessel, which means that I can't necessarily stay hidden.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man, brilliant. So your dad, what does he mean to you? What influence did he have over you?
My dad, I think one of the greatest influences from him was character. Like in principle. I think those two things are probably like my biggest takeaways.
Standing on business. That's what he was.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I think, he just prioritized character more than he did anything else when I was growing up. So it just was ingrained in me that was important. And then I think because we had a nonprofit, I only grew up seeing service. Like that was it. That was what was normal to me. And then my grandparents are pastors. So again, like another form of service, serving the community. So I think that was something ingrained from a very young age. Having a heart to give. That's all I saw growing up. And I think even with me starting my nonprofit, I probably wouldn't think to naturally do that unless my parents had started the nonprofit and those values were in me to where I was willing to say, hey, I'll put my own money behind this.
Wow.
I just want to do it. I want to give them what I wish I had, but I saw my parents do that. So I think that's why it was like a second nature to do that.
Wow. Okay. So what about your mom?
My mom, I think my business savviness for sure from her. And so let me
break it down. You got this. This is you. This is all your time. I don't want you to even rush or none of that. Just tell me everything. Yeah.
So with those two, they are so funny. And I know like once they watch this part, they're gonna laugh because sometimes my mom will say, "Ooh, just like your father," and that's likely when I'm being like, I don't know. He has a certain insaneness about him.
Yeah.
And I have that. We on
the same wavelength. Yep.
But like his creativity, his vision, like it's really, really incredible. All of like his giftedness. A lot of my spiritual gifts I have from my dad. We think alike. We process thought very similar as well. And I just think like our empathy for people and our ability to connect with people, very, very similar.
And it sounds like both of you dream big. Stuff that would seem like they crazy. They can't do that. Like for you guys, it's simple, right?
I feel like with my father, I don't even think that I want my dad to dream bigger, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay, I got you.
I think that my mom is probably the more
Practical.
dream bigger.
Oh, she's okay. Wow. Wow.
My mom is the more dream bigger. My father's gifting, however, opens ridiculous amount of doors. So it's just expanded. Like none of this, like people think all the time that we have like as a family unit have just planned this and been at it for decades. Like none of the beginning stages was like planned or sought after. Like even like the PR that we had, people was thinking that I was doing it. And I'm like, all of these people came to us. Like we didn't have to really try. We more so had to manage the platform and the responsibilities that came with the massive growth. And then obviously we got systems in place and I'm managing him and, things like that. But My mom, my dad is definitely visionary. And I always say, like, the nonprofit wouldn't exist if it weren't for my dad, but it also wouldn't exist if it weren't for my mom.
Wow.
Because she was able to see it from every angle,
Yeah.
and to see it long term from every angle, and also make sure that it could sustain, because she is very administrative, because she is more business savvy.
And you need that side. It's
You
just
have
as
to.
much as you need the creative side, right? Yeah.
Or the creativity is not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
You need that structure.
Yeah.
So my mom is very much like that. My mom is a little antisocial, which I can also be. And then I can also be like, if I see someone in need of something or see someone hurting, that's when Jason Wilson turns
That's when
on.
he could. Oh, dang.
That's
See,
that's
yeah.
when it turns on. But other than that, it's very much like I just don't naturally do that. I'm more reserved.
Yeah.
Like my mother.
But if you get that feeling of, that intuition or instinct or whatever, once that kicks in, you have no problem.
I'll go up to a random person
Exactly.
all the time. Say, hey, I'm sorry, this is very random and you don't know me, but, and then I'll say whatever is on my spirit to say.
Got you.
And that'll be that.
Wow.
But yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I'm sorry. You were going to say something else?
I'm trying to think if it's anything I'm missing.
You know what? You posted something in 2019, right? It was for Mother's Day. It was a picture of you and your mom, and you said that, I hope that my husband trusts me with his heart like dad does you. I hope that I'm brave enough to create children and raise them into amazing beings like you did. And that sort of summed up that relationship. That was in 2019.
She's an amazing woman. I mean, just really smart, very nurturing, very caring. She's a RN by trade. Actually, she actually keeps her registered nurse license up to date, and so she just naturally is a caregiver. She's who everyone calls in the family. If anybody has any sort of sickness at all, we're calling her to make sure everything's good. And she raised me very well.
Wow. Okay, your brother. 13 years younger than you, right? So
yeah. I'll cry right now about him.
What does he mean to you?
Everything. Jason is probably like my leading motivation in a different way for my parents and my grandparents. I really want to be able to do a lot for them. I feel like it's my responsibility.
Absolutely.
Almost.
Yeah.
For Jason, it's in a different way. It's like I have to do well so that my brother knows what's possible and that he can do more. Also, because my mother's pregnancy was so high risk with him, and she was also on bed rest, I was taking care of him a lot. And making sure I'm taking care of my mom too. And so my relationship with my brother feels more like that's my kid than it does that's my brother. And then on top of the fact we have a very large age gap.
So mother/sister kind of, right?
Yeah. He used to call me his second mom all the time. And my mom would joke about that too and be like, yeah, like that's his second mom. And it never felt like weight. It never felt like any of that. I was just ecstatic to have him. And I also loved babies. I have 9 little cousins. And so I was able to like hold all of them and change their diapers and love on them. So I grew up loving babies. And so when my brother came, I'm like, one of my own. Yes.
Yeah.
And so just very, very close to him. I think that he's just a gem. I know it sounds, maybe strange to call a teenager wise, but I think he does carry a certain wisdom with him that's really, really special. And I think he has an incredible heart. I think that he's just, like I said, if I talk about little Jason for too long, I'm going to cry as well. Just because I think he's incredible and he's just my whole heart.
My sister was like a sister/mother, still is to this day. And I didn't have a patriarchal constant presence in the household. So she kind of made up for that in some ways. Like whenever my mother wasn't around or she was working late or whatever the case may be, my sister didn't let me get away with nothing. So it kind of put a strain on our relationship in a sense. But as I got older, I appreciated it. I just told her the other day I appreciated her for being hard on me. So with you and your brother, it doesn't seem like there was ever a strain. It was almost like, this is the way it's supposed to be. And, or did it ever cause any strain on your relationship just having that mother/sister dynamic with him. It was just
No, I remember when he was like 8 years old, it was more so like, you're being an annoying 8-year-old right now. That was the most
yeah.
that it was, but no, not at all. I mean,
But I'm talking about in the sense of like the relationship, right? If he got into something or did something that was wrong, could he come to you and confide in you and say, "Hey, I don't want you to tell mommy and daddy"? Like,
for
could
sure.
so you could separate the? I got you.
For
Okay,
sure, for
perfect.
sure. No, because I feel like I'm Jason's. Literally, my parents say all the time, "Were you his lawyer?" And I'll say yes if I need to be. Absolutely.
Yep,
So
yep.
Jason knows that I will like advocate for him, that I will protect him, and he also knows that I hold him to a very high standard. Like I remember when I was first really trying to drill in him, Jason, when I'm around, you better open every door. Don't let me pick up a bag. And I remember we were working on that, and I had came home. I was in California. It was the first time I had came home in probably like 6 months or something like that. And he didn't open the door for my mom. And we locked eyes, and he, hurried up and tried to
Wow,
get it. So
wow.
he's on it. But he also knows, like, as much as I love you, I am not going to be one of those placating sisters who thinks that their baby brother can do nothing wrong. Absolutely not.
I'm gonna tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
I'm gonna tell you what you
Right?
need to be here, and you better show up in excellence when it comes to dealing with women. Because that's when I really
Yeah.
he'll see a different side of me.
Yeah.
And he knows.
My sister was the same way, and I felt like I was catching it from all of the stuff that she had experienced with the people she was dating. I'm like, dang, you talking to me, or are you projecting a
Right,
bit?
right.
But it still helped, and I'm glad she did that. And I think with older siblings, the blessing is that they can act as an extension of the parents, because the
Yeah.
parents have already instilled so much in you. So when they're not watching, you're still somewhat of a parent to them, and you can still implement your parents' vision onto your siblings or whatever, your younger siblings. So I think that's a blessing, and I'm glad he has you. I'm glad you have him.
Me too. I'm glad I have him too.
That's what's up. Okay, so then you go to high school, right? And was it Southfield Christian?
Yep. Southfield Christian.
Yep. Okay, so you had many talents in high school. You were what is it? Varsity all district cheerleader. That was one. You were vice president of your senior class. Let's see. I think your junior homecoming and your prom, you designed the dresses,
Yeah.
right? So in high school, with all of these talents, what did you think you were going to be when you grew up, when you became an adult?
I thought I was gonna be in fashion
For real?
for sure.
Dang.
For sure.
Dang, okay.
You actually couldn't tell me that I wasn't going to be a fashion buyer.
Yeah.
A fashion buyer or either a fashion designer. You couldn't tell me I wasn't going to do that.
Wow. 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 And then something changed, right? What changed?
Well, it was my junior year and things just weren't working. So I was trying to like pursue certain tracks and it wasn't working. And I was like, God, like I will do whatever it is that I'm supposed to do, but I need clarity on what that is. And I was in such a soul searching space and I was seeking my purpose. And that's actually when I got the vision for my agency Exalt.
In high school?
Oh, no. That was in college.
Oh, in college. I was about
In
to say, good
college.
Lord. Yeah, okay.
That's when
yeah.
it changed. In college, because I was trying to pursue the fashion track.
And you
it
were doing
wasn't
like
working.
Noir. I think you were the president during your last year, right? So,
Yeah. No, and Noir was an amazing.
Noir, sorry. Yeah.
No, I feel like you said it right. It was a very pivotal, important part for my development, honestly. And I can get into that, but in that time period of trying to make it work and trying to find my purpose, I did get that vision for Exalt. I did not understand it though, because I kept hearing talent agency, I kept hearing talent management, and I didn't know what that meant. In Detroit, we don't use those type of words.
Yeah.
So I was just really confused. And then when I was looking up, like, what does a talent manager do? It was like different definitions on every site, on every blog. They were broad. I couldn't wrap my head around it. But I said that I would go forth with it because I knew it was what I was supposed to do. I had prayed for like specific confirmations that I thought were completely unrealistic to happen. And then they happened. And I was like, oh, okay, like I'm going to listen. And so that's what changed. Like I saw the vision and I knew what I had to do. And so I started pursuing that path.
Wow. So you got the vision for Exalt in college.
I did.
But you ended up starting your own nonprofit too, right?
I did.
So what drove you? What was the impetus for you starting the Menternship?
The mentorship started from a place of like, because I did so much personal development, I saw my change up close and personally, and I wanted to share it with everyone. And I also had a certain level of tenacity. So I wasn't afraid to ask for things. I was an incredible networker when I was in college. I remember the president of Jordan Brand at the time, he came and he spoke. And it was such a crowd afterwards talking to him, and people were like really nervous and stuff. And I remember being like, I'm going to ask if I can stay connected. His security was there, and like they were just being very, you knew that you only had about 10 seconds
Exactly.
to talk to him. But I just waited until
Because his
everybody,
time is money, so he got places to be, of course. So yeah.
yeah. So I waited until everybody was done. And then I remember asking him, like, can I stay connected to you at the end of our conversation? And
You had the audacity to ask.
I sure
Whoa,
did, because I'm like,
dang.
you either are going to tell me yes or you're going to tell me no.
Oh wow.
Or I'm going to tell myself no if I don't ask.
Yeah.
So I would rather not do that. I'd rather have a 50% chance instead of a 100% chance of a no.
So you rather try and get rejected than to make the mistake of not trying at all, pretty
Yes.
much. Because I think that's much worse.
Yeah, it's much worse, and it's going to. I didn't want to teach myself that about me. I wanted to teach myself that I could make the ask, and that I would be okay whether you said yes or no to me, and that if you said no, then it wasn't meant. And that's okay too. Again, character building, which was instilled in me young.
You
and
have
is-
not because you asked not.
And
So
you
you
have
had
not
to,
because
yeah.
you asked not.
Yeah.
And so I asked at the end of our conversation, would it be okay if we stay connected? And I remember his security kind of like stepping in. And I remember him pausing, him saying, yeah,
Wow.
take my email down. And so we did. And we had another touch base call. It's not that evolved into anything crazy, but just the fact that I had enough confidence to do that. It was like, okay, what if other Black girls from Detroit that were like, what if they learned these type of things really, really young? What if they knew about the power of character development and mindset and this, that, and the third young?
Yeah.
Like, I wish I knew about this young. I wish I didn't go on my whole like soul searching journey for that year and a half, just feeling like I'm so lost and purposeless. And like, I felt so dramatic for feeling how I felt in that year and a half.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then on the other side of it, I was like, I want to teach somebody what I learned, so that they don't have to go through this. And I want to get to them younger than, you're going into your senior year of college.
And this was the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. So
Yes.
yeah, my wife and I are alumni there. So go blue. How was your experience in general at U of M?
So I love the University of Michigan, and I feel like, again, very pivotal in my growth and in my development. When I spoke to the president of Jordan Brand, that was at the University of Michigan at an event that occurred there. I am not an academic student.
Mm-hmm.
I was not good at school. I only did well in my entrepreneurship classes.
Yeah.
And in the few business classes I had that were at Ross School of Business.
But you graduated. So hey.
But I graduated.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I think what the University of Michigan gave me was that tenacity, was that access, that network. And even there, they had a department called Innovate Blue. I'm not sure if it's still around or not, but it was connected to the entrepreneurship department. And the people that I met
You
there,
were like listed as one of the students to watch for
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah.
2015, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was 2015. And it was Innovate Blue's students to watch. And that's actually
One
where
of the 15 students to watch. I think it was something like that. So it was a select
something
few.
like that.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
huge, man.
Thank
Okay,
you.
go ahead. Yeah.
It was special. And I that's actually where I did that pre-launch for Black Bomb, because my entrepreneurship.
Wait, that was in college too?
That was in college.
Man, come on. This
that
is
was
crazy.
that was before I knew it was going to be called Temple or anything like that. It was for an entrepreneurship class,
Yeah.
and my teacher was like, if you don't launch this lip balm, I'm going to fail you in this class. Because I was self-sabotaging, and I was scared, and I was nervous, and I knew like I wanted to make it because
Yeah.
I had been making this lip balm for forever. But yeah, I was like coming up with all different types of reasons why I couldn't do it, and like restarting the project. And he was just like, if you don't do this specifically, I'm going to fail you.
I'm sure he
in
didn't
the entire
tell
course.
every other student in the class that, right? Because it was just it was a project problem. It
was a
started out
project.
as that, but your professor saw that this could go much further.
Yeah.
And he believed in you. And then when you sold out in 42 hours, it's
Yeah.
like, yo, this is, I'm not 42.
48.
No, 40. No, it was 42 hours. It
Was
was
it?
less than 2 days. You sold out in
It
42
was.
hours. That was even more confirmation
Yeah.
that this was something big. It wasn't just something to just throw away or put to the
Yeah.
side. That's huge, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So very, like I said, U of M, it was moments, even with Noir. Like, I think that was a situation where I treated Noir like it was my job. Noir was my internship. And a lot of the people that were on our e-board treated it the same, and it showed. So I had all types of sponsors. I didn't even know what a sponsor really was, or like, to have someone endorse. Like, I didn't even realize I was doing things with talent. Like, I know Big Sean, Cash Dow, MC Light, all of those people and more were supporting Noir, making videos and promos for us. I had Domino's and Hampton Creek and
Dang.
Kind as
Wow.
partners and sponsors.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was doing the absolute most. However,
Yeah, yeah.
when I did go to get my like official internship, I interned with Shea Moisture in New York.
Wow.
They were so impressed by the things I had done through Noir.
Yeah.
And I thank the University of Michigan for that.
Wow. Wow. Oh my God. Okay, so then you end up graduating from University of Michigan. Did you stay in Michigan for a minute before you ended up making your move to LA? What happened right after college? Where did you work?
I did. I worked for myself with Exalt. I had clients. I was doing marketing. Actually, the Lip Bar was one of my first clients ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You did a campaign for them with the young lady Ashley Blaine, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
With Ashley Blaine. Yep. And we did like their influencer campaign when they were launching into Target.
Yeah. Dear Beauty Industry. So it was kind of like a play on Dear White
Yes.
People, Dear Beauty, because Ashley
Yes.
Blaine was one of the lead characters in the hit series Dear White People. So
Yes.
it was called Dear Beauty Industry, I think. That was
I cannot
dope.
believe you know all of this.
You Alexis Wilson. Everybody know this.
Oh my God.
Everybody know this, man. But absolutely, that was huge. And so Melissa Butler is the owner of the Lip Bar. That was like one of your first projects.
Yeah, that was one of my first clients. I actually just saw Mel like last week.
Wow,
We
okay.
went to this event and I saw her there.
Dope.
But yeah, they were one of my first clients. However, I knew I was supposed to be in the entertainment space and I was not leaning in that direction. Again, I was scared. I did not understand it all the way. I couldn't wrap my head around it.
Because God gave you this vision, but you was like, logistically, I don't know how I'm gonna do all of this.
Logistically, I also don't truly understand it. I was making calls and talking to people, but also like that was the thing that was going to cause my elevation. And, our brains are not wired for, okay, we want to make sure that you expand and you elevate. That's the last thing. It wants us to be safe. That's the priority. And so I was self-sabotaging.
Wow.
And pretending like I just couldn't figure out why I wasn't all the way happy. Yeah. And then I remember again getting to that point of like, okay, God, like, what is it? What do I need to do? What's going on? And God simply said, you're not in an environment that's conducive to your growth.
Oh, wow.
Conducive to what I asked you to do. And I'm like, well, where am I supposed to go? And it was, I swear, it felt like it was, where do you think? Who are the people I'm telling you to reach?
LA.
Where are they at?
That's the entertainment industry.
Yeah. And I was like, LA. And so I moved in 2 weeks time and have been there ever since.
Wow. Okay, so you picked up, left, went to LA. How did your parents and your family respond to this? Because y'all are like a close-knit, family unit. How did they respond? What did they say?
Not happy about that. Yeah. No, they were not happy.
But God gave you this vision, so I'd rather obey him.
Yeah.
If it means disobeying you guys, I gotta listen to God on this one. I got
100%.
you. I got you.
My grandparents were a little nervous, but they were excited for me. And then my mom and dad were more. It was more so like, girl, 2 weeks. It was more so of that. My dad was very nervous about it. Very much didn't want me to be in the industry. Didn't want me to be in California, of all places.
Yeah. You went into the lion's den out there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that's why God wanted you there. Yeah. Right? Because who would be a better person to change it from the inside out than you, right? And you need good stand-up, moral people with integrity out there who aren't just out there trying to exploit people, who really care about people in a sense that not only wanting them to achieve external success, but work on their inside too, right? Because that's important. So who better than you?
Thank you.
That's dope. That's dope.
Thank you.
So how has the experience been living out in LA, right? Because you're back here for an extended, vacation, so to
Yeah,
speak. But how has that been? Because you've been out there for how many years now?
6.
6. How has it been?
I mean, I love LA. I think that the weather is obviously everyone's favorite thing there, but also there is this more wellness focused community. So it's easier for me to get access to cleaner food. It's just
That's
it's,
what me and my wife, we said, where we gonna find the vegan spots out here? Yeah, but I know what you
it's
mean.
far
Yeah.
and few. Whereas in LA, it's like they're normally vegan parts of the menu, even
Yeah.
if you're at a regular
That's a
restaurant.
part of their culture
It's
out
just a part
there.
of the culture,
Yeah.
or I could drive 10 minutes and go on a hike and
Oh
see
my God.
the
Yeah.
entire city, or
And
I'm
and it's
sitting
a
on
bunch of people out there
it's a bunch of
hiking.
people
Yep.
with their dogs and, just having a great time being active. I sat on my balcony every night and I could see the entire city and palm trees. And it just helped me to regulate and live the lifestyle that I was trying to build for myself, have the habits that I was trying to build for myself. It made it a lot easier to form those habits in LA. So I think, LA has been great. It's been really great for my career advancement as well. I think the only thing that I feel like I really want is community.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I told you earlier, like, I want to see old people and babies, and you do not see old people and babies in LA
That's why my
unless you're in
friend,
certain parts, like farther
yeah,
out.
yeah, further out, like if you Santa Barbara or San Diego, stuff like that,
Yeah.
right? But my friend just moved from LA to Atlanta for that same reason, and we kind of describe LA as a like Never Land and Peter Pan or Hook. Nobody wants to grow up.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they get stuck there. They don't want to
Yes.
grow up, and it's
Yes.
not necessarily conducive to somebody who wants to start a family. I can see why that person will want to at some point exit LA. Not to say you can't have it there. You
Yeah.
probably can. I'm sure you can. But maybe it's a bit more challenging if you're stuck in that, Southern LA, Southern California,
Yeah.
LA, area. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's my only thing.
And there's no knock. I'm not trying to knock the men or anything out there, but I'm just saying people are pretty much out there trying to pursue what they want to pursue. They don't
Yeah.
have time for family or anything like that because
Yeah.
they're going after their dreams. They're going full steam after their dreams, and maybe they just don't have the time for that. And then it requires you to go out, a lot maybe and interact with people and network and all of that stuff. So even when I was out there, I lived in Santa Clarita, but my one friend who lived in LA, he was always at some club or lounge and I'm not that type of person. I hate being at clubs. I've been like that since even in college. I didn't go out much, but he's like, oh, that's what you got to do. You got to network. I'm like, man, I don't think I could do this. So
You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. I don't think I ever was in a club in LA. I don't think I've been in one.
oh, you trying to think about, dang, wow.
Yeah, I don't think that I have. I've been to like restaurants that have like a clubby vibe, like
Yeah.
Classic Cat.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've actually been to a. No, I have. I remember, but it was before I moved to LA.
Oh, okay. When you were just visiting.
Yeah.
Okay, got
Yeah.
you. Got you. Okay, so you in LA, you're doing your thing, and you're getting clients out there pretty much, right? Like, how were you getting these clients? How are you networking or getting to the point to where you could solicit your services to get somebody on a roster? How did all that happen?
It just word of mouth. I think that's literally how I got every single client. Up until recently, I was not doing like, sales marketing and things of that sort. It just always was word of mouth or, getting a phone call like, hey, like this company told me that they need a marketing such and such and such. Do you think you could take them on? Like that's majority of how it would happen.
But it seemed like your experiences from the past prepared you for that. Even when you talked to the president of Jordan Brand and you was like, I gotta ask him. I can't let this define or me not doing it define who I am. And it was important to you. You spoke at Bass Blue Future Founders Program. This is how you got on my radar. And it was a clip that went viral. You was talking to this young girl who was in high school and you asked her what her goals were. And she said she wanted to sell hair. She wanted to sell lashes.
And real estate.
Real estate. She said real estate. She wanted to be a millionaire. And you said, okay. And then you asked her a question. And you weren't condescending. You were very encouraging. I love the way that you spoke life into her and gave her things to think about. But you said, describe to me the mindset of this person who's raking in millions of dollars of revenue on a yearly basis. And she was stuck for a minute. She hadn't thought about it that far, but she knew what she wanted, which was big on her part, at least, right? And then you helped her out. You said, okay, well, describe the people that she hangs around. What type of people do she hang around? Like, what is her morning routine? Like, what time does she wake up in the morning? What does she eat? Does she work out every day? How does she deal with adversity? She probably don't go to clubs a lot, right? And you gave her something to think about. And I think you coined it as like a to do to be framework where if you aspire to be something, you have to work on becoming that very same thing long before you step in that position. So I think everything prepared you for being able to go out to LA and have the audacity, have the courage, have the confidence to actually network with people, knowing that you would be able to come through for them. You know, everything prepared you. But sometimes people are just attracted to the outcome. Like, okay, well, I want the millions of dollars. I want the cars. I want the house. I want this, that, and the third, as opposed to concentrating more on developing the mentality that it takes to get these things. And that's so important. So when you said that to her, and you being, I don't even think you over 30 or something. I don't even want to put your age out there, but it's like, this is so much wisdom. And you don't hear young people talking like this, because even if you don't get the things that you want, even if you don't become the millionaire you want, you still going to be way better off than you were before, because you put the work in to develop the mindset. Scott, okay, I'm sorry, I'm being long with it. Guy by the name of Patrick Bet David, he owns this entertainment, I think it's called Valuetainment. It's like a media company. And he was being interviewed, and somebody asked him, if you were to become president, what would you do on the first day in office? He said, you would have to ask me what I was doing 20 years before I got in that position, because that's going to determine what I do once I step into that position. So it's the same thing that you said. And there's so many young people that don't think about that. And if they did, then they would live so much more intentionally, very young, versus what other people might tell them, like, oh, you got all the time and you got all the time in the world. Just, do you can make mistakes. Yeah, sure. You can make mistakes, but you should be as intentional as possible, as early as possible, right?
For sure. I mean, you don't have to be intentional. It depends on what you want.
Yeah.
It depends on what you want for yourself. It depends on the type of woman or man you want to be. I mean, that's even something that I tell my brother when he's trying to make a decision, or if I see that he's about to do something that maybe isn't so good. Is this the type of man you want to be? Like, are you okay with that? If you look me in my face and you tell me that you're okay with being that kind of man, do it.
So you saying it's your choice. If you can be intentional if you want, but if you don't want to be, don't be mad about the man you're going to become in 10 years, right?
Don't. And also don't reach for those type of goals. You need to have smaller goals. I do know that everybody's like, oh, have big goals. Some of us don't need big goals.
Not everybody is meant to be a boss. Some people are meant to be really good employees.
Some people are meant to be really good employees, or some people need to just serve. Some people need to go into certain seasons, because it's like, again, you are not willing to become the kind of person that can do this thing. So maybe you shouldn't have that goal.
Right.
So that's what I always present to people. Like, you don't have to have this path. You
Be
don't
honest
have
with
to
yourself.
have the routines. You don't have to have the structure. But you also should not have this goal to be this multimillionaire or to be a leader when you need to work on talking to people kindly before trying to step into a leadership position. So I don't know what you need to do, but being a leader shouldn't be one of the goals, because you're not willing to become that kind of person that can lead. So I think that we do sometimes get caught up in titles and big goals and all of that stuff, and we don't want to actually go through the becoming process. And I don't think that that's fair. And that's also just not how life works.
Absolutely. Now, not only are you doing Exalt Management, which, I mean, that's a huge vision that you were just killing it once you got out to LA. You were doing your thing, but you also had the Menternship. I think in 2019, you had maybe 3 interns, right? And it was an expense paid trip from Cali back to Detroit.
Yeah.
One of the interns, I think her name is Jasmine Williams, maybe?
So funny thing, we have 2 Jasmine Williams.
Jasmine A. This was Jasmine A.
Yeah.
Jasmine A. Williams, right? And she was a senior at Cal State University studying business administration and management. And she pretty much said that prior to doing your program, she felt she would always have negative thoughts, right? And she would always worry about negative things transpiring. So she knew she had to change her mindset, and she started operating from a place of gratitude so that she could be grateful for what she had accomplished leading up to that point, which opened up the door for her to basically have more positive things transpire in her life, right? Like, you think negative things that happen. What you put out there in the atmosphere, that's what you're going to end up attracting. But she learned that from your program. Also, Julissa Romero, she was at University of Southern California at the time studying communication. She said that she had never took an internship where they talked about things like gratitude, meditation, affirmations. She said that she was a first time or first generation college student. So being able to meet these executives at major companies was game changing for her because it made it more real for her. It made it more possible to talk to people and realize that these people breathe the same air as you. They put on pants just like you. You made that possible for these young girls. But at that time, you still got Exalt Management, right? And you still are very much young and going after your dreams, but you still took time out to exalt other people and to try to help other people, which is crazy. Like that's to me, it's just insane that you were able to do that. What drove you to just keep doing that despite being young and having your own personal goals that you were going after, still taking time to reach back and care about other people? Like where did that come from?
My parents.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't feel like anything
Abnormal. It was like, no, this is who I am.
It didn't make me feel like it was taking like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do well if I help you guys. So it just felt like something that I really wanted to do. And honestly, when I look back on it, I'm really proud of what was accomplished. I'm proud of the impact that was made on the girls. It's something near and dear to my heart. I think, however, if I could have focused on one thing at a time, I probably could have made even more impact.
Oh, wow. Versus trying to do it all. Wow. So look at that accountability right there. That's
For sure. Like when I look back, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Because that's a lot.
Yeah. It was too much, actually.
Yeah.
But
wow.
And that's what I'm saying. Like your gifts can definitely make room and bring so many opportunities and open so many doors. Like the partners that were telling me, yes, it was just blowing my mind because when the mentorship first started, I didn't even have a website.
Wow.
So I was like, oh my God, like L'Oreal Paris, like the L'Oreal Paris, we're taking that there.
Yeah.
Like Ralph Lauren, like it was just wild to me, but I do believe that the work was blessed. I do believe that my faith, I had a very childlike faith and still do. But it was on like 20,000.
I can't imagine what that meant for a college student to be talking to an executive at L'Oreal when that's the field that they actually wanted to go into, right? Like that just, I can't explain to you what that did for them psychologically at that point. Because again, you have to know that it helps your dream become more realized. Now you're responsible with what you have encountered. Now you got to do something. You can't make any excuses. You can't think that these people are not real. You know what I'm saying? Like they're very much real because Alexis, like in my intro, acted as a conduit to make sure that you met them.
Yep.
So you gotta be held accountable now.
And they had contact information for everybody too.
Dang.
Because it was hard not to like the interns.
Yeah.
They were so bright-eyed and kind-hearted and great character and smart. You know, so able to show both the character and the career development. And so we would ask, you know, whoever wants to share their contact information, let us know. We'll send it out to the girls, and everybody that they met would send it and be like, yeah, absolutely.
See, but you pick good mentorns too, though. So
yeah.
Can't just pick anybody, right?
No,
yeah.
You cannot. But they were phenomenal. And I have very close relationships with some of them still to this day.
Yeah.
And they're just gems to me.
Oh, so. Yeah. I saw the video and I think they made you cry because they all shared some beautiful words to you at the end of it. I think your family was there too, but it was beautiful.
Yeah. The family, donors, they were there. We had like a dinner for them. Yeah. And I was like saying my piece to the girls. Yeah. And I think it was Nicole Williams.
Nicole N. Williams.
Yep. Nicole N. Yep. Jasmine N. I think she was who was like, wait a second. Yeah. And I said, please don't. Don't do it, but they did.
They got you. They got you. And then next year, COVID happens, right? Everything shuts down. I'm thinking, man, you can't continue with the program during COVID. But of course, you being who you are, you said, nope, I'm gonna get Megan Good, Storm Reed, these very talented actresses, highly successful, and Roscoe Spears, who's the chief creative officer and partner at the Lip Bar. And you had this virtual series And the young girls who were on the young women who were on the call, they had an opportunity to ask, Megan Good, Storm Reed, and Roscoe Spears questions. So you still came through in the clutch, even during the hardest year that arguably any millennial has experienced in their life, right? You still came through. And you're not a millennial, but
I am.
You are? You
Yeah.
still a millennial? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
you was way younger. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But the hardest year, and you still had the wherewithal to think about other people.
I think that sounds so great, but I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
feel like it wasn't even like
What?
I feel like I had to do it. Like, not from a place of like obligation, but like giving feels good. Like, it feels good to pour. It feels good to give. Like, the mentorship felt like, I don't know, it was like my little baby. So I felt like I didn't want to let the girls down. It also makes me happy. It lit me up. So yes, like to give, but I wouldn't, it also benefits me in that it makes my heart feel good.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's why it's like, it didn't feel like I was
Like, I can't take credit for that because it's almost like some people give and they do it to make themselves feel better about things or whatever. But for you, you get something from it too. It's like it's not just a one-way street where I'm helping somebody else. It actually does something for me to do it as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not just giving something to somebody and thinking in my head, oh, look what I did for them. It's like, you probably done more for me by even allowing this to happen, or being a part of this, than I've done for you. So I get you.
It feels like an honor. That's why I'm like, it didn't feel like a big deal. I do think that it was very cool what occurred, but it felt like this is something that my heart really wants to do, and I'm going to be sad if I don't do it.
That's huge, man. Wow. Yeah, but I mean, looking on the outside in is huge. I'm just letting you know that, because you don't see that too often, especially from like younger people who are very much selfish, not in a bad way, and going after their dreams, and making their mark in the world. But with you, it's like, no, I can make my mark in the world, and I can help people at the same time. I can help pull other people up. You did an interview. This was with Ashton Kutcher, right? 2023. What you laugh for?
Because I just think that you are dropping all the, these amazing points, and I'm just like, this is crazy, and you just are so thorough. And
you knew you was out here killing it though. Come on now. I wish I had 5 hours, because this ain't even enough time for all of the stuff that you've done in just such a short amount of time. But you did this interview with Ashton Kutcher, 2023 Make Wakanda Real Summit. I think Dream Machine put it on, and y'all talked about y'all love for AI, y'all belief in its ability to transform the world for the better, right? Like, how was that, just interviewing? Because I'm a big fan. Like, when he did Punk, and you had people that came after him to try to do some type of version of it, but it just didn't land the same. And then one of my favorite movies of his was Butterfly Effect. I thought he killed it. I even thought he did a good job when he played the dude, the Apple guy. I forgot his name.
Steve Jobs.
Yeah. So I like Ashton Kutcher, and I just thought that was a good interview. Not only that, your confidence. Like, somebody who's not a star interviewing Ashton Kutcher as young as you were, they would have been nervous. You would be able to tell the difference in confidence. But it was like another star up there interviewing another star. Like, that's what it was. So how was that for you?
Oh, I was nervous.
For real?
Couldn't tell. Yeah.
Oh shoot,
But
I couldn't tell. Yeah.
I always feel some sort of nervousness. I'm just able to work through it when I'm even doing the podcast. I don't know if it was on camera, but like, I took a deep breath, because it was like, you got to regulate. Like,
oh
it's
shoot,
cool.
Yeah.
Like, I always feel some sort of nerves. But I was just like, wow, this is crazy. And I wish I would have asked him, am I being punked right now? Like, are you really here? That's the one, the regret that I have. I'm like, dang, that would have been so good.
Yeah.
That would have been so good. But he was.
But
really
you
cool.
made him comfortable though too, right?
Yeah.
So you didn't even. It was like, literally, you wasn't even talking to him like he was Ashton Kutcher. You was talking to him like he was one of your homeboys. You made him comfortable. So maybe not telling that joke might not have been a bad thing, because it was such a conversational, moment.
I would have made it conversation, because it would have been real, like in earnest.
I got you. So you just saying that was a missed opportunity, not making that. Yeah, probably. Dang. Now that I think about it, yeah. But that's all good though.
It was cool.
It
was cool. He was cool. Transparently, what people don't know is that I did not know I was interviewing Ashton until 2 minutes before he walked in that room. So I was on my phone like, Ashton Kutcher AI. I didn't even know he was in AI, and I'm like trying to look up, what his involvement was for it so that I could be informed talking to
But it
him.
helped that you were working on your own thing with AI, right? I mean, or was
I
at that
hadn't
time you
even
didn't
started it yet.
Exalt GPT, right?
Exalt GPT did not exist
Oh
yet.
wow, wow.
We were saying how like we wanted to later that night work on it. But no, I hadn't done it. But I was into AI. I did like Chat GPT a lot. And Dream Machine was my client. It's Van Jones's nonprofit.
Oh wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, and so I knew that I was going to be doing content capture. I did not know that it was going to be like a full studio setup, like cameras set
Lights,
up
everything.
everywhere. I
Yep,
thought I
yep.
was going to be doing like social media, like off my phone, and that's what I was prepared to do. But I guess there was a miscommunication between someone on the team,
Yeah, yeah.
and there was full setup, and so I was just like, okay, like, well, let's put these to
You
use.
stay ready and you ain't got to get ready. But see, that's
Yeah.
all that preparation, even
Yeah.
leading up to that. All of the stuff that everything your dad instilled in you, everything you instilled in your brother, being the example that he needed to see, everything, the Jordan Brand guy, the president going up to having everything prepared you for that moment. So it didn't matter
Yeah.
how you could have got it on a second's notice and you would have still been ready for it.
Yeah.
And you killed it. Yeah.
Thank you. I think that's what's so important about the becoming process. Because even when it's like, well, like, how did you start getting your clients? I did give a simple answer of like, it was word of mouth. But it's like, do you know how long it takes for you to get in a position where you can get word of mouth clients?
Come on.
And confident, even working with Van Jones and Dream Machine, that was a phone call from my previous boss.
Yeah.
And she thought of me and she was like, they need some help with marketing and branding and storytelling and content. That's how that came about, because she saw my work ethic. She saw my character. She saw how I strategized.
So people think the work is always, oh, well, this person didn't work hard to get this client. You don't know what I was doing when nobody was watching. You don't know how much I was shooting in the gym.
Oh
You
my
know, you
gosh.
have no idea, and you were putting in work, even with Noir, all of that. I know you worked at what is it, Revolt Media and TV. You worked at Unilever, which is one of the world's largest consumer goods companies. So you've been putting
Yeah.
in work. So it's not
Yeah.
like this stuff came to you easy. It's based
No.
on all that work that you was putting in to basically establish your reputation as being a force to be reckoned with. That's just what it is.
Yep. It only gets easier with time. It's funny you mentioned Revolt. I think one of my favorite things I learned is from my mentor, Detavio Samuels, who is the CEO of Revolt.
Detavio? Shout out to Detavio.
Shout out to Detavio Samuels. He is a phenomenal mentor. And I remember being frustrated because I wasn't getting a lot of clients. I was just trying to figure things out and I was in a hurry to get there. And he was like, I just did a deal with Pepsi the other day. It was on Instagram that it got set up. And he was like, you need more time. Like, I get it. He was like, but it's okay. The only reason I can close a deal or, make something happen via Instagram with these large brands is because I've known them for so long. They've seen me grow. You need these relationships. In this game, you need time to pass. It's on your side. And I couldn't really receive it at the time because I'm like, what I really need is to be able to pay my rent.
Yeah.
But okay, Detavio, like,
Yeah.
I feel you, but but I got it over time, because then things would happen simply because like I was steadfast, and people would know me from years ago, and they not only knew my skill set, but they knew my mindset, and they also knew my character. And so when those opportunities did come about, it felt easy. So the more time that does pass, the more that you can just stay in the game, the better. You can't lose unless you quit, but the goal is to stay in the game.
Grandma Reed, Alexis, y'all did a great job. I'm sorry, I had to just say that. But yeah, man, wow. They instill so many great things in you, and it's paying off right now. Okay, so y'all talked about AI. I got a love-hate relationship with AI.
I get that.
Somebody hit me up the other day. They said, hey, Dave, man, when you do your clips, it's this app called whatever. I'm not going to say their name. I ain't giving y'all no free promotion. But they basically said it'll take your episode and slice it up into clip. And I said, man, but I find so much purpose and me. Don't get me wrong, it might take me long to do clips, but I put my all. I put my all into those clips because I like telling stories, right? So I think about AI and I think about how food, like we talked about food earlier, right? When I was in middle school, elementary school. I remember my mom, she would go to the grocery store. She would get like the frozen waffles in a box, pizza rolls, Pop-Tarts, stuff that you can just pop in the toaster and give it to your kid. And then he can be off to school. And it gave us convenience. She was able to do things in an expedient fashion, right? So it was a good thing, but I think it was at the expense of our health long term, because although we're a very developed country, we rank poorly when it comes to disease prevalence, when it comes to other health metrics like life expectancy, when it comes to obesity rates, and it's all tied to this dependence on fast food. Then you couple that with less physical activity. When I lived on a street called Promenade on the east side of Detroit, my mom, we were renting a house over there, and they had like this manual push lawnmower. And it had this cylinder shaped mechanism on the bottom of it with these blades. So the only way that it would turn is if you pushed it. So you didn't want to cut the grass when it was too high because you was going to work more. We graduated from that to the gas lawnmower. So now the blades are being, like, power is being provided to the blades from the engine in the lawnmower. So now they spin on their own. You don't have to push the lawnmower in order for the blades to spin. We graduated from that to the self-propelled gas lawnmower. So it had this lever where you pull it. So not only are the blades getting power from the engine, but the wheels are too. So you just standing there guiding it. Then graduate from that, people out here riding lawnmowers. You just getting on it, getting off of it. You're not doing much physical stuff. Now, I just saw something not long ago, a video of a dude who was controlling it from an app on his phone, a robotic lawnmower. So he didn't even have to leave the house. And the grass would be done by the time, the March Madness basketball game was over, right?
Wow.
So we're not doing a whole lot, and we're more dependent on fast foods. And I don't think we knew at that time, like, we wanted to achieve expediency and convenience, but it was at the expense of our health. So with AI, I'm like, I get it. It's going to help us to be more productive. Companies are going to run more efficiently. I think better decision making through stronger data analysis. But then I think about the long-term effects in terms of, like, if AI starts doing too many jobs, then the things that we normally find fulfillment, purpose, and meaning in, we don't have those. And, an idle mind is a devil's playground. So what are we going to be getting into if we don't have things to keep us busy? So it's almost as if I know we have to do AI. We have to, because our potential adversaries, like, other countries, China, they're going at it full steam. So we have to do it too, so we don't put ourselves in a compromising position if something were to pop off. However, I hope that we're able to do it responsibly. And that's what I'm hoping for. That's why I say it's a love-hate relationship, because I like it. But then I'm thinking about, like, long term, all of these novel ideas that seemed great, but nobody was thinking about, like, what's going to happen if it does too much. So that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that we can move forward responsibly with it. And maybe I'll even adopt some of it, because I know I need it for efficiency. But it was just one of them things where I was like, although I hate the clip making process because it's tedious, but after I get done, it's that feeling of like, oh my, like I just climbed the top of Mount Everest. So I don't know your thoughts on that, but yeah.
I mean, I think I agree with you, and much of what was discussed at that Make Wakanda event with Ashton Kutcher and Van Jones and will.i.am was what you just said.
Wow.
It was like, AI is here and we need to get ahead of it before we get left behind. And that's what majority of the interviews that I did that day concluded with, we need to regulate this immediately, because it's far too advanced. It can do so much. It can bring so much goodness. But if this doesn't get regulated, we're going to have a problem.
I saw Elon Musk doing an interview. I forgot who he was, Ted Cruz or somebody. And he said within the next 10 years, 90% of the miles driven on the road will be autonomous. And that's just kind of crazy to think about. So, but we're headed there. Hopefully we can do it responsibly, but either way it go, that was a fire interview. And it just shows how multifaceted you are with respect to not only being somewhat of a life coach, being able to negotiate deals for your clients, but also being technologically savvy at the same time. So just dope on your part.
Thank you.
For having all of that. So now, here's the thing about it. Like, I wish you posted more, and because your voice is so needed. So my question to you is, do you intentionally not do that because it's like, I don't want to become addicted to social media? Or is it a thing where sometimes it's hard for you to shine your light on the world? It's hard for you to feel up to, bestowing things on people that God has put in you to share with people. Like, How is your relationship with social media?
That's so funny you
Yeah.
say this. I don't intentionally not post. It's just that I had been doing social
And I never
media.
post. I never post either, so I'm not judging. I'm saying, but you get my point.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get you. I had been doing social media and marketing since 2013. And I think whenever I am taking on marketing clients, which I don't do marketing anymore at the agency and won't be doing that until we're able to scale out the mindset and talent portion, then we'll bring back the marketing. But I think I just got burnt out having to deal with social media all the time with clients. It would make me neglect my own page all the time because it was just like, this is way too much. And I also think when you are dealing with someone's page that is not your own, it's just significantly easier for me to do branding and marketing for someone else, and to have to do that for myself, it's like,
You so good at it though. Like
Thank you.
because you had like these videos where you just giving a message 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and it's so impactful. You said something about like the celebrity life, meaning and what you were saying is that people are so enamored with becoming a celebrity, but you better make sure you're doing, we're going back to do to be framework. You better make sure that you're doing all the right things, or trying to, leading up to that point, because when that spotlight hits you, you better be prepared for what it's going to reveal to the rest of the world. Like we see what's happening with all these celebrities, the Diddy's, the Harvey Weinsteins, and it's like, you can't think that you're going to get away with anything. Because what's done in the dark eventually comes to the light. So don't concentrate on becoming a celebrity. Concentrate on preparing and making sure that when that light hits you, you're ready. But
Yep.
that message was so, I'm like, man, she need to post these. She need to post. People wouldn't even have no therapist if you posted them every day. They'd just go to your
No,
page.
they would still need to go to therapy. No, go to therapy. Go to therapy.
Still go to therapy,
I tell
right?
my
Yeah.
clients all the time, my mindset coaching clients, I feel like, this is better than therapy. I don't even think I need to go.
You still got to go.
No.
Yeah.
You need to go to therapy.
Yeah.
Mindset coaching is not therapy.
Because that's the risk, is that they can probably start to prioritize or maybe pedestalize you in a way where it's like, that's an unhealthy dependency.
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah, and also just mindset coaching is a mind matter, not a heart matter. Like therapy deals with matters of the heart.
Ooh,
And so
okay,
it's a
okay.
difference.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like, I'm not here to be your therapist. There'll be sessions where, I might get something drop into my spirit, and a part of their action plan is to schedule their first therapy session. Because if you don't have, the foundation, which is making sure that you don't have, emotional baggage and things stored up within the heart, I can't help you, because you're not even regulated enough to receive this, or to start rewiring your brain. You need to go work on the heart.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
shout outs to therapists. I am not one,
Yeah.
but shout outs to therapists. I don't remember what we were talking about before that part.
It was just basically the social media stuff and how come
Yeah. So it just would be like a drag. Basically, it felt like, I don't feel like editing. And really, it's the editing. Like, I don't feel like, chopping up the video and doing all of that. But however, I did just have a call with Meta, because my content has been performing very, very, very high lately. And so they reached out and asked me if I would do a call with them. They actually talked to me about a new AI feature that they have, and that they're rolling out through certain creators. They asked me if I would be open to doing one. And then they also were like, your content is really good. You do not post enough. Like, we need you to post 3 reels a week. And I'm like,
but for you, it's like quality over quantity. I mean, everything is quality.
Thank
I can
you.
tell you're very intentional about how you curate, your content, how you put it out there and present it to the world. But yeah, man, you're incredible. And I would, like I said, love to see you speaking.
I'm working on it.
And more, because again, that's a gift that you have or whatever. So that's dope, man.
Thank you. I'm working on it. And that's why I am more likely to do podcasts and workshops. Because if I can get content where I'm just talking, it's so much easier. Like, I know, even if I don't know what we're going to talk about on the podcast, or I can't, it's not like a pointed script thing. I know something good is going to come out, because I know what I put in on a daily basis. So I know I'm going to get some bites from this podcast that can easily get cut and put out. Or if I'm doing a workshop, I know it's going to be a moment. Like at Bass Blue, that was filmed because I knew at some point something good is going to come out here.
Yep. Stay
So
ready. You ain't
that's
got to get ready.
easier
Yep.
for me than to like plan the content. But regardless, it's, in today's climate, you can't just not do social media. You have to. And so I'm getting over that. It's like, Alexis, I don't care if you want to do it or if you don't.
Do you? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was about to say, I now have like content block days on my calendar. I just started doing this literally last week.
Just to help you stay on schedule because you're a busy woman.
Because I won't designate any time for it. And so it's basically like, when I have something, I'll post it. But it's never like, let me plan this content for me like I would a client. And that has to change.
You seem like the most confident person. Like, do you ever have any moments where you feel insecure or feel like, or start questioning yourself? And if you do, how do you get yourself back to where you need to be? Because you just seem like you're never not confident.
Oh yeah.
Like, what are some of your weaknesses, or do you have those moments of like, am I doing the right thing, or is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Do you question yourself at times?
Yeah. I think that used to be a very, very strong thing for me some years ago. It was almost like crippling. And like I said, the gift will take you far, but it's like, it could have been further if I wouldn't have been holding myself back. But I would say, like, now I think that I have reached a certain level of self-awareness where I can know, hey, like, you're self-sabotaging, or hey, your brain is trying to protect you. This is new. So this is registering as a potential threat. You need to sit down and do some inner work. You need to do some EFT tapping or whatever. So yeah.
EFT?
Yeah.
What does that stand for? Or what
does it stand for? Emotional something.
It's some type of therapy work.
It's like when you tap on your meridian points.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. Meridian. Okay.
you tap on parts of your body. You know how the saying, your issues are in your tissues?
Okay, I know it now.
Okay.
I know it now. Yeah.
So trauma stores within your bodies at a cellular level. And so a lot of times when we are dealing with something heavy, or perhaps we're self-sabotaging, or we're dealing with fear or whatever, that emotion is still stored deep in the body. And so basically it's like a type of therapy where you tap at your meridian points, and the whole goal is to be able to release that energy and kind of reteach your body that it's okay. Wow. So I would start off with saying, like the other day, my hiccup that I had was like, I didn't get enough sleep the night before, and I was super tired in the morning, and I started being very critical of myself, and I'm like, if you would have had sleep, you wouldn't have to deal with this, and you need to just, push through it anyway. And then in that moment, again, I think that's where the self-awareness comes in. It was like, that might bring more harm to you than good. Maybe you should get 1 more hour of sleep, adjust your schedule, because that's what a high performer would do. They would adjust, not just be like, well, now you must suffer. Like, no, adjust your schedule so that you can still go to the gym and you can still rest more and get to the root of the problem, which is that you didn't get enough sleep the night before. Why was that? We can address that there, and let's work through this instead of you becoming self-critical.
Yeah.
So I really think it's like the self-awareness that helps me to show up in confidence, because that helps me to address my issues and to be able to be like, you're being kind of harsh. You're not showing self-compassion to yourself. And even with that, even though I knew I needed to still adjust, and that's what a high performer would do, I didn't feel it in my heart, and I didn't feel it in my body. I was fully resisting it. I still felt it deep down. It just felt like, no, you just got to be tired for the rest of the day. And it was just insane. And so I was like, you're going to sit here for the next 30 minutes and work this out, do some EFT tapping, release it, pray, let it go, figure out where is this connected with, revisit some childhood trauma if you got to. I would do all of that, because now that I know what that feels like in my body, and I also know what it feels like to release it, kind of like with the food. Like, once you know what it feels like to have clean food in your body and for you to be functioning, at a high state, you don't want to go back to eating all the junk food, because you're going to feel weighed down. You're going to feel heavy. You might be more prone to depression, or you're not going to think clearly. You don't want that.
Yeah.
So I can feel almost like when I have a limiting belief that's in the way, and I might not know what that limiting belief is or what that block is, but I know that I can find it if I give myself the time to sit. So I think it's more so the self-awareness than it is like, oh, I'm just so confident because no, it's not that. I know that I'm not going to forsake myself. I know that. I know I'm going to go take care of myself and figure it out. I know that I am equipped with the mindset and the skill set that I need to work through it. So I'm going to do it. Wow. It's more so of that.
Grandma Ree, Alexis mama and daddy, y'all, man, y'all, I can't express it enough. Y'all did a phenomenal job with this young lady. I
Thank
thought,
you.
see, when you said EFT, that's what you called it, right? That's what it's called, EFT.
I hope I'm saying
No,
it
you
right.
are, but I was thinking about NFT because I know you sold your first NFT drops with Death Row Records. I think you and your artist, is it Malaya?
Malaya.
Malaya,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. I
But
don't manage her
yeah,
anymore, but yes,
but
I
that was
was.
huge. That was huge. Yeah,
That was crazy. Doing
yeah.
that with Snoop Dogg was probably one of my favorite LA highlights for sure.
And you executive produced her first release on Death Row NFT. I think it was called Taylor Newton's Law. You
Yeah.
executive produced, man. You doing everything,
Thank
man.
you.
And the short film, Penny in the Sky, she co-directed.
Yeah.
You know, I saw earlier, maybe in February, you know, some stills from like a location that you were on when you were helping. And, you know, you were a visionary, such a visionary. So that goes right in line with directing and a prolific speaker. So I think with being a good director, you do have to be a visionary and you have to
Yeah.
be somebody who can get other people who are a part of the project to believe in your vision just as much as you, so that they can all be on board and do the best job that they can do, right? So you have what it takes to do that, which is why when I saw that, I said, okay, that makes sense. But she can be in front of the camera too, based on what her and her dad did to her mom when she was like 5 or 6 years old. But anyway, I just think all of those skill sets, all of those skills, all of these different areas, all of these things that you're good at, man, is I can understand how that could be a challenge because it's like, well, what do? I can do all of these things, but you sometimes elect to just do too much. Like you said about the mentorship and also with Exalt, like where it's like, man, I could have just did one of these and
Do one
probably,
at a
yeah, but
time.
yeah, we
Because
could,
I did it all, literally. Temple,
Temple too,
the
right? Yeah,
Menternship,
yeah.
and Exalt all at the same time. And it was going so well. So I thought, that I was doing the right thing. I'm like, I'm bagging these partnerships. I'm selling out of our lip balm constantly.
So you were succeeding in all of these
I was
realms.
succeeding, but the
Yeah.
thing is, the higher up and the bigger it gets, the heavier it gets.
The
So
heavier
now
the
it's like,
burden.
oh wow, like I don't have capacity. It's either
Yeah.
you're not going to go any further than here, or you're going to have to put something down so that you can, continue
Ah,
to
I
move.
got you. I got you.
But yeah, it was too
Okay,
much.
man, we're gonna call this segment Alexis quotes. So I'm thinking about some of your quotes from the past. One is, if your mornings feel chaotic, it's because you're reacting to your day instead of creating it. And I just want you to go deeper into what that means.
Well, yeah, I think so many people would resonate with waking up and it being like it's just you're responsive, and it's because you haven't created what it's going to look like. You haven't used your authority on this earth to say, I'm going to have a morning that feels like ease. I'm going to have a morning where I get my first portion before I give it away to the world, where I can finally get some time to myself, where I can be clear headed for a moment, because I know when I go into that office, or I know when I get on this client call, that's not going to be there. And I think that, we have, just the habit of being on social media or checking email or checking text. And it's like immediately that energy has gone out instead of going inward, instead of powering yourself up. Like I think energy management is equally as important as the food that you eat. Equally important, because if you're not managing your energy and your output, you'll find yourself being on E, being burnt out, and then you're of no service to anybody, let alone to yourself.
Wow.
So I think like mornings are a very powerful time, in that if you can go from reactivity of just you basically you don't have any autonomy over your day. Like it's determined by the text you got.
Yeah.
But if you would have had that time blocked off, maybe you could have got annoyed by what that person said a little bit later. But now, like the first thing, which is also important because your brain waves are slowest when you first wake up in the morning. You're more receptive to things. So if I'm taking in something that immediately is throwing me off, your boss makes you mad, or your friend says something that rubs you the wrong way, or you get an email and you got denied for a pitch. Before I could even get out the bed, the whole tone is set for the day. I'm taking in so much. I'm putting myself in an energetic and spiritual and mental state that I didn't even have to be in. And I allowed it to happen like that because I reacted to it. But if I have my phone to the side, nobody has access to my mind in the morning except for me and God. That time is for me and God. I get my first portion. God gets my first portion. That's it.
Yeah.
But who knows what's going to be on that phone?
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to be happening outside? Like, especially if you are a parent and you have kids, or, if you have a high pressure job, it's like, I think, those are the kind of people that need it the most, because you're not, who knows what your kids are going to do, or what the toddler is going to spill on the couch. You don't know.
Right.
So I think building that time in can save you so much mental space, and it's just like fuel. It's healthy fuel for you, and I think it's a good form of energy management.
Man, I love it. I love it. Okay, let's see. Stop chasing achievements and start finding purpose. Achievements don't equal fulfillment.
Yeah. I think it's I mean, achievements are very external based, whereas purpose is completely internal. So that feeling of fulfillment can't come, because that's the inner thing. So that fulfillment coming from a source outside of you, that's not going to sustain. That's not going to be lasting. And I think that's how you can even know, like, is this something that's truly fulfilling or not? I mean, did it go away after a day? Did you get your little hit and carry on, and now you need another hit? Or is it that, because like for example, when I was talking about the mentorship, we talked about something that happened all the way back in, what was that, 2023? And I still get moved by it. I could see the shirt that I had on. I had on a white shirt and blue jeans. I remember Jasmine Nicole had on a yellow top. That moment is imprinted on me because of the level of fulfillment that it brought, because of the impact that I saw that was made. That's true fulfillment. It's stuff that you mentioned achievement wise that I didn't even remember here. And I'm like, wow, like, he's really versed. Not to say that those things don't matter, but those things aren't necessarily what brings me the most fulfillment if I don't see the positive impact.
Yeah.
If I don't see the level and depth of the impact, and my purpose is what brings that through. I think even with some of the achievements that I've had, it's like, yeah, I've had amazing clients and I've done amazing deals, but some of the things that, are burned into my brain is like how I made that team feel, or how I earned that person's trust, or how my character was able to shine through. Those moments where I was actually able to connect with someone's humanity in the process of working with them. Those are the things that are like etched in my memory. So
You make a lot of sense. I always try to pray for like discernment and wisdom, kind of like King Solomon in the Bible, because you could pray for worldly possessions, you can pray for wealth, and then after you get it, you'll still be left with this feeling of emptiness and being unfulfilled. So I just try to pray for God's will to be done, because He knows what I need more than I do. He knows what my deepest needs are, and not only things for me, but more so things to prioritize His kingdom and to further His goals, not my own. Right. So I do think what you're saying is important. What you said in that quote is important, because you see so many people get to the top and they end up committing suicide or whatever the case, because they realized that what they was chasing wasn't, dang, I still feel this way. I still don't have fulfillment, right? Because they're chasing the wrong thing. So it's not to say that you can't be happy when you get those things, but the priority list should be these other more internal things that sustain you through tough times, good times, so on and so forth. So brilliant.
thank you.
Man, okay, here we go. Next quote. All right, I'm wrapping it up, y'all, but I'm just excited about this conversation. Next quote, be the one who nurtures and builds, leave people better than you found them. This was in 2015. She couldn't have been no more than 20 when she said this. This is crazy.
Oh my goodness. Be the one who nurtures and builds.
Leave people better than you found them.
I just feel like that's just how I view life. Like, and that's why I was saying, like, even with the clients that I had or the deals I was making, like, I felt fulfilled when I was like, you left a positive mark on them. Even for my social media, it's my hope that people leave better than they come.
Got you.
That's just the thing. I hope that the fruit in me is something that can aspire, people to plant seeds within themselves.
Got you.
That's my goal.
All right. This quote was from 2016. Whether you believe you create your circumstances or your circumstances create you, you are right.
For sure.
Free will. It's like, you know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
like that. I like that because at least what it meant to me was you have the power, you have a choice, right? So yeah, you do create your circumstances, but they also create you. They also inform who you'll become, right? So I love that quote. There was just so much depth in that simple statement.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just also when you just learn like the brain science of things, that feels very fulfilling to me too, because when you hear quotes like that, or even quotes, I think it came from Henry Ford when he's like, if you say you can or you say you can't, you're right. And it's because that's how our brains are wired. Our brains are very responsive to our beliefs. That is almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you have to be very careful of what you speak. You have to be very careful and observe your beliefs, because your beliefs, all your brain is going to do is say, okay, well, if this is the pattern and this is the programming, I'm going to make sure we stay here. So I know that you said that you want to achieve this goal, but that goal is actually in opposition with this programming that we have here, and that's a threat. So no, let me get active. Let me keep you away from that. So it's like those quotes aren't just like philosophical, woo-woo, deep thought quotes. It's like, no, that's actually how your brain is going to respond.
Wow.
So you got to be very careful. And again, that self-awareness is crucial so that you can be able to see, maybe I have a limiting belief here. Maybe.
And that's the thing that's actually limiting me and holding me back.
Yeah, because it's not that it is absolute truth what you're dealing with. It's that you believe it to be true. And therefore, that's your programming, and your brain has
Starts
to keep
up
you
here.
safe.
Yep.
1,000%.
Wow. Okay. Couple of more. Don't let perfection get in the way of progress.
That quote actually, I feel like it's a commonly
thing,
said thing.
yeah.
But I remember the first time I heard a version of it was from that professor I told you, who was like, I'm going to fail you if you don't launch this. And
Temple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he was like, you're letting perfection get in the way of progress. And I remember just being like, you're absolutely correct. And it could be debilitating. It's another form of self-sabotage because your brain is like, well, if you don't let perfection get in the way of the progress and you move forward, this is going to be a new circumstance, and new things registers as potential threats. So let's put a pause on that. Let's find another reason to actually not launch, because I don't know if this is safe quite yet. Wow. That's just what your brain is doing. So I think being able to move forward regardless, you can't lose. Again, I don't believe that you can lose unless you quit. So even if you move forward and it's not perfect and you mess up, at least you know what to do the next go round to make it better. Or you can move forward and it works out great. And now you're able to start teaching your nervous system and your brain is safe. And actually, when I do aspire for new goals, it's going to be okay. Like, this is good. This is good. So I don't think you can lose as long as you don't quit and you keep moving forward and you don't let perfection block your progress.
Brilliant take. Okay. Last one. Life continues to teach me that gratitude must be intentionally cultivated. Gratitude is what that meant for me was that you can be grateful for something, like everything could be going your way. And then as soon as one thing doesn't go your way, it's easy to slip into this territory of bitterness and resentment. And you've quickly forgotten about all the ways in which you're blessed and grateful. The fact that you woke up in the morning, that you're breathing air, that you have family that are healthy, that you can still talk to your mom and dad every day. It's like, so you have to continue to work on that every single day, because it's easy to slip into this state of depression and woe is me and state of melancholy. So I just thought that quote was beautiful.
Yes. And again, going back to the brain, the reason scientifically speaking, why, it does have to be an intentional practice is because the brain has a negativity bias. We are going to find the negative in something. It's so much easier to do that than it is for us to naturally think about the positives and everything. And so even though it's a habit for me, it's a part of my morning routine to practice gratitude. Again, if I'm not intentionally cultivating that habit, like you said, if something does happen, it is so much easier to slip back into the, oh my gosh, and into the victim mode. The only way that doesn't become a default is if you have practiced enough gratitude for the gratitude to be the default. And I do find myself in those seasons, but then like literally, and my friends will even make fun of me about it, where I remember this one instance actually when I first moved to LA. I think it was my first year there actually, and the carbon monoxide alarm went off, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And my friend Taylor was over, and we had to go to the garage, and we were super sleepy, and I got in the car. And I said, I'm so grateful that I have a car and that we don't have carbon monoxide poisoning. This is so great. And I'm glad that you're here, because if you weren't here, I would probably be freaking out right now. And so I just started rambling. And she just bust out laughing. And I was like, okay, yeah, we're in good territory here. But then I can think like, oh, since it's the default, it doesn't have to be something that I'm trying to constantly bring top of mind. And then that's when I'll find myself slipping back. So I do think that it is something that has to be intentionally cultivated, just because of how we're kind of wired as humans. And also it does become a really great, it's a really great feeling when that does become something that is like an autopilot thing, when you can train your mind to find the good.
It's like second nature. It becomes second nature. And I think that's brilliant. I think it's the difference between having a victim's mentality and having a victor's mentality. I think that's the difference. So,
and even if you're at a place where it's like, maybe you don't naturally see the gratitude, but could you get to a place where you're like, let me try and find it? Even if you can get to the place where that's your first thought of like, I don't feel good right now. I'm not feeling any of this actually, but let me take 5 minutes to find the good. That's a great place to be.
Man, Grandma Ree, Alexis' dad, Alexis, y'all did a great job. The reason why I had you, or I wanted you to be on the podcast, obviously I saw that clip, the Bass Blue clip, Future Founders Program, right? And then I went down this rabbit hole, and it had occurred to me. I heard this guy named Philip Anthony Mitchell. He's the pastor of 2819 Church. And he said that true purpose chooses you. Like you don't choose it. And he said it's the difference. Well, he didn't say this. I said this. But it's the difference between you pursuing something for selfish, vain, and superficial reasons versus pursuing something for selfless reasons. And there's a sense of responsibility that comes with having a purpose that you didn't choose. Kind of like Moses, where God spoke to him through the burning bush. He said, he said, you're going to be the one to free the Israelites who were under Pharaoh's captivity. And Moses was probably thinking like, what? He wasn't even a very eloquent speaker in the beginning. And God gave him everything he needed. Just like you said with Exalt, how am I supposed to do this? I don't have the skill set or even the knowledge or the experience to do this. And God basically told Moses, you're going to do it because I told you you're going to do it. That's your purpose. And I wouldn't put you in that position if I didn't think you were the best person for it. So Moses' older brother, Aaron, acted as a spokesperson and conveyed God's message to not only the Israelites, but to Pharaoh. And they ultimately succeeded in freeing the Israelites, right, from Pharaoh's captivity into the promised land, so on and so forth. So that was important, because I know for a fact your purpose chose you, because who in their right mind, being young, teenager, got the gift of gab, the personality, the whole presentation. You could have been anything you wanted to be and pursued it for selfish reasons. I want to make my mark on the world. I want to get validation from other people so that they can know how good I am at something, versus what you really did was you wanted God's validation. That was most important to you. It was more important for me to do what God called me to do and appease him than to do what I wanted to do to appease other people and seek validation from them. So, and then I know for a fact, again, it shows you, because you talk about this long lineage. You talk about, your grandparents, I believe on your mother's side, they just celebrated 44 years of service to the community. Your parents with their nonprofit organization, the Union, right? Yep. Just celebrated the 20th year anniversary. So this is in your blood. And I have to give you credit for leaning into your purpose when God told you, this is what I want you to do, it instead of running from it, which is unfortunately what so many people do, because it's scary, because you like, wait, what? I don't know anything about this. Yeah. So that's why I wanted you on. I think your story is incredible. I think anybody who's looking for representation should highly consider reaching out to you, because I know for a fact you're not doing it to please yourself. You're doing it to exalt them and to please God foremost. So shout out to you, man.
Thank you so much. And if I could speak to that purpose piece and people running from it, again, that's how the brain works. So that's what's going to happen. However, I wish I would have had someone to talk to me about how God is not separate from me. God is not separate from you. God is omnipresent, which means he's in every cell of my body at a subatomic level. And so when I think about these desires that get placed in the heart, really the trick is to decipher, are these desires something that has been caused externally by society, by my parents, by whomever? Or is this something internal, an internal desire? Because that internal desire, while we definitely do attribute, okay, well, this is what God wanted you to do and you're going to do it because God wanted you to do it. God is not separate from me or separate from you. This was something that I ended up realizing I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. And I can trust, even though I don't even know how everything else is going to unfold, that if this is what God wanted it for me, who created me and knitted me in my mother's womb and knows how I'm hard and soft wired, this truly must be what's best for me. I believe that God wants the best for me. I believe that because he is not separate from me, God is simply finding a way to express itself through my vessel. So God gets to coach people through my vessel. Because that's the beautiful thing with God being spirit, being genderless, being omnipresent. God does not have this human experience, but he has it through us. So he gets to interview through you. He gets to coach through me. He gets to play basketball through LeBron James. And so our yes is simply allowing God to experience the glory of God's creation. And it's what is best for us. It is what is going to be the most fulfilling for us. We just have to work through, again, that self-sabotage period, that doubt period, and to trust, like, okay, if this is truly something that is an internal thing, I need to just sit with it. I need to do some self-exploration here. I need to figure out why I am feeling so much resistance to this. Is it doubt? Is it fear? Is it because I don't have the resources or whatever it is? But just know that if you have been asked to do it and you do have the desire for it, God wants it even more than you do. And so if you take the step, I think MLK said it, you take the step, the staircase appears. You got to be able to do that. And so I think with purpose, it sometimes can be made to seem like it's going to be the thing that we don't want to do when it's really like
the thing that you've been yearning for and you just didn't know it. Yeah.
It's the thing you've
because
been yearning
again,
for.
God knows what your deepest needs are much better than you do. Yours might be fleeting. I want to do this today, but you give it
again, it might be based off of external things,
external influences, like you said, your parents' influence, not yours, but just in general, societal influences, propaganda through media, material stuff, anything. Yeah, I like that. All right, man, this is it. Look into the camera. Tell people where they can find you. This camera right here.
Right. I had one job. Okay.
I told her this before because she asked me, what camera is mine? Yeah. But that's all good.
And I still said, it's fine.
Okay. So
okay, tell them now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You can find me on all social media networks at Lexalt. That's LEXALT. You can also go to exaltmgmt.com if you're interested in coaching with me. And yeah, that's where you can connect with me.
What's that? You said something, you got something going on now where it's like a subscription.
Yeah, the Self-Mastery Circle.
Got you.
It's a mindset membership. So I go live with coaching every month. I do bi-weekly guided meditations, which are also live. So people can literally hop on and say, hey, I'm dealing with some financial hardship, or I'm dealing with imposter syndrome. And I will make sure that the meditation that we do is, tailored to the collective energy that's on the call so that everybody's getting what they need. I put content in there so that it can replace your social media feed. I'm responding to people. We have an accountability partners program as well. So you could sign up and get matched to someone. it's really good, if I do say so myself.
Listen, this girl, she ain't no joke. She got another client, Danielle
Danielle
Smith,
Smith, yeah.
writer. She basically said that, man, working with you, you have this uncanny ability to make her feel like the number one priority, despite the fact that she knows you have a million different jobs. And she said you done made her a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, that's just, I'm gonna close it on that. Y'all better hit her up before those prices go up, because they gonna go up. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. This was great.
Cool. Conversations with TinBridge. Peace.